What's going on, growers? It's James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. Where I'm standing at now, this food forest actually only takes up about half my lawn. The other half used to be grass just 6 months ago. But I brought you all along as I started to turn that into a food forest also. We went through the first 5 phases and today is phase 6. Let's go! It's hard to believe just last December, this area was all grass. We had a few large trees over here, which blocked a lot of our light, but this section overall was completely unproductive. But now, we put the contractor's paper down, we've got the wood chips in, we brought all the life into the soil, and now we're growing food. One thing to note is when you're building a system, a food forest like this, is that it isn't just a regular garden. You're not building a garden, you're designing a system, similar to an ecosystem. This has all different moving parts and things are always changing. So one of the greatest skills we need to learn is observation and the ability to just look at things and change and refinement. That's kind of our key word in our focus for phase 6, refinement. You need to be able to go around and see how your plants are doing, see how your trees are doing, be able to find the gaps between and know and understand what needs to be in that place. For instance, I've got fruit tree here, a pear, I've got another pear here and another pear. In between we've got strawberries. Right now I'm growing annuals in these sections, but I know that I can fit a number of bushes in here. I'm gonna plant some things like gooseberries, blueberries, I'll plant some currants, all different kinds of bush and perennials that are gonna produce for me and also do actually well in partial shade. And when you're looking to design a system like this, one thing that can't be overlooked is to study, to do your homework. And I'm happy you guys are watching a video like this, because just something as simple as what I'm gonna tell you here, to get bare root trees from reputable companies that you can trust, and to get disease-resistant varieties of trees that are going to do well in your local environment. For instance, I put a number of pear trees in like you saw. They do very well locally to me, and peaches do well also. One of our issues though is we get peach leaf curl because the humidity is so high. So what we did was order a tree that's disease-resistant to that peach leaf curl. So we're getting on top of the problems before they even happen. So important. Another thing to understand is pattern application. That's really what we're doing when building a food forest. We're seeing a natural forest and the patterns that it has, and then we're applying those same kind of patterns to our garden. You should realize that just a change in pattern can actually increase your harvest or yield highly. Or just even a change in geometry, the way you plant, the spacing. Bill Mollison talks about this when he actually started growing with banana circles. So just planting the bananas in a circle and mulching and composting everything in the center made it so they only had to water in one location and mulch in one location and got a bigger overall yield. So just the way you arrange your plants, the structure, having them in different layers like we do in a food forest, 7-layer tier, will increase your harvest also. This is mainly a perennial food forest. So those 7 layers are occupied by perennials. For instance, we have grapes growing that are going to be growing up the fences, but while those are young and they haven't taken the fences over, we're growing annual vining, things like cucumbers. We want to make sure we're using that space while the perennials are still just filling the gaps in. Here we've got our first tomato ripe actually, also. Sun Gold Cherry, which happens to be my favorite variety. So what you see right now is high production for annuals, but we're taking steps and moving successfully towards a perennial food forest. The wood chips are going to do the work for us though. The worms, the microbiological life, that's the key, bringing more life. Nothing like a Jersey tomato. So how do we get better and how do we improve on this observation? And how do we better refine our garden? Observation is something that really comes from practice, just like almost anything. Repetition is the mother of skill, so the more we do it, the more we're going to learn. You've probably heard me mention before, one of my favorite quotes by Bill Mollison. He says that yield is based on information. So the more we learn, the more we can observe and refine, our yields can increase technically without even adding anything. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to refine how I'm growing these strawberries. I'm going to come through, just tweak things a little bit and actually increase my harvest and overall planting. Although what we're doing is mimicking a lot of nature, what we need to do is find a good balance between doing enough and not doing too much. So this is very appropriate maintenance, something like coming through and moving these runners. All these strawberry runners, they want to move out to the side, shoot themselves in different locations. But what I want to do is come through like I did in these sections, put some black leaf mulch down and bury the runners a little bit, allowing them to root. What this is going to do is allow them to spread even quicker. Soon this whole section is going to be a mat and we're going to be moving right towards harvest, a perennial harvest. a successful one. And I like planting strawberries a lot underneath my fruit trees. I found that the strawberries tend to do well like that. That's a beneficial connection that I found. So when we're planting and growing a garden like this, it's not only about having the most diversity you could possibly have, it's actually about making the most beneficial connections. Although I know this isn't rocket science, I figured I'd just show you guys how I do it, just to give you an idea. Little things like this, they all add up. Everything accumulates together. And one thing you might notice with this garden is, or any of my gardens, everything in here, this is as natural as you could do it. No fertilizer, no pesticides, no herbicides, no sprays of any kind. We didn't even use any like natural fertilizers like any fish emulsion or anything. I wanted to show you guys you could do this with just by getting the wood chips down. They'll break down, they'll feed your soil. We're gonna use some black leaf mulch because we have it on hand. And I would suggest to you using compost. As you can see right here where I have the strawberries, I've got the wood chips pretty thick. They'll have a little bit of a tough time rooting through that, and these runners are going the opposite way. So I'll just stick these runners where I want them. I'll put a little black leaf mulch down there for them, and also bury their arm once I get them where I want them, kind of. This is gonna allow me to direct them all the way I want to go and keep them in that row. And like I mentioned, turn into a nice matted row. If there's one thing I'm getting across to you in these videos, in this series, I hope it's that you can do this. You can definitely do this. This is practical. You don't have to go as huge as I did, but all you have to do is put the wood chips down and start building your soil. It's not something you have to recultivate every year. This is a system that's gonna get better and better every year. The fertility is gonna grow. You're gonna be bringing in a lot of fungus, which is beautiful because actually woody species love fungal dominated soil. And your annuals and stuff, they like bacteria dominated soil mainly. So what I like to do, and what you should do too, is even if you're growing in all wood chips like this, it's not a bad idea to start your own homemade compost pile and top dress some of your annuals with the compost. Give them some of that bacteria, and that'll really help them along. If you guys are enjoying this video and all of our videos, what really helps the channel is to hit that subscribe button and like it, and also share it with your friends. The only way for us to continue reaching other people is for you to share and help promoting our stuff. So we appreciate all your help. As you can see though, the annuals are still doing well, excelling along nicely. We're eating tomatoes and some of them are getting monster. This indigo cream is a big one. Still getting cabbage and kale and stuff. There's something I wanted to say to you, and I might have to make a video out of it. I think it holds a lot of weight and a lot of value. And it's something I'm just learning more and more as the year progresses, as just the years in general progress. And it's basically that if you want to improve your health, improve your soil. If you want to improve your plants, improve your soil. That's really it, that's the foundation. If you want to grow a food forest, you must create a forest floor. That's what supports it, that's where it starts. That's the building block. So make sure you start with a good foundation. You don't want to build a foundation, a house on sand. I think it'll just sink. You want a nice hard rock, something that's going to be stable, something that's going to support you. You want the wood chips, you want the life. You want something that's going to work for you. You want something that's going to be easier every year, that's going to take care of you, something that's going to be sustainable, something that's going to be self-replicating. That's what we're working towards. You can see the food forest ahead. That one is self-replicating. That one is sustainable. You'd be shocked how little work I actually do in there. And that allows us to spend time building a new food forest, to work on some of the annuals, to enjoy gardening, to have some fun with Tuck, to be able to make these videos for you guys, to be able to connect. It's a blessing. As I'm getting ready to exit the new food forest, I'm thankful for the opportunities where we've gone from grass to food in a short amount of time. This right here, this is about as close to natural farming as you're probably gonna see. One thing I want you guys to realize though is Masanobu Fukuoka, the thing he did better than anyone else, it wasn't just that form of natural farming, it's his manipulation of time. So Masanobu Fukuoka was a master of time. Go back, watch the One Straw Revolution again, or his documentary, and understand that timing can get your harvest to the next level too. We'll talk about that in the future. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends. We'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to check us out on Steam too. James Prigioni and Tuck Aronis.